Because more than 2%.
Okay, so my little clock says 40 seconds, oh, 20 seconds. Here we go. All right. Hi, Solange Whitehead. I am privileged to call you my friend and so happy you could join us today. I will ask you a couple of questions today. We'll try to get a conversation going. I do want to caution the listeners that you're speaking as an individual. Your voice is not that of the City Council, but you do have an intimate knowledge of the City Council because that is where you sit. You are one of 7, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and so you have 3 children. Are they home with you right now?
No, my kids are adults. One is in college and 2 live on their, all 3 live on their own. So,
okay.
Yep, it's
Is
my
everybody
husband.
safe?
Yeah, everybody's safe. My husband and I, and we have 2 cats that'll probably join this call. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to that. I might stop the conversation from time to time to reintroduce you because people will join us as we kind of get started. We're underway a little bit.
Got it.
So, Solange Whitehead,
Go ahead.
you are serving in your first term as City Council. Can you give us a brief description of how you went from the person that came here from San Diego in 1996 to the person that now sits on the board of Scottsdale City Council?
Well, yes, and I think most people do know that we had a situation in the preserve, and I was called to action by my adult children and some other people to run to protect our preserve. This city, everybody, north, south, all age groups, all partisanships joined together. We did that very effectively, and I was honored to be elected. So it's been a really exciting 13, 14 months. This current situation we're in is not what anybody wanted, and came at us pretty quickly, but I've been very, very pleased. We're working, I know many of us are working 7 days a week, and city government is not known for its speed, but we are definitely being very effective. So I can go into some of that. But, I just want to mention to the listeners, and you may not even know this, it's hot off the press that something we've been pushing for at least 2 weeks, that the governor just...
We got a scoop. Hold on a second. We have a scoop.
Oh, scoop. Okay, scoop. The governor just issued a stay-at-home executive order. I don't even know the details yet, but just to give you a recap, and quite a few mayors, I had hoped to be on this letter, but in emergency, when there's an emergency declaration, council people actually lose some of their power, and it's all for the right reasons. So the mayors consolidate some of that power. So while many elected officials have been asking for a stay-at-home order for some time, we couldn't sign the letter, but some mayors did. And he listened, and he did issue that today. The reason that's important is because, hindsight's 2020, and we can benefit from the hindsight of all the states. So Ohio made an offensive game at it. They've saved lives. Michigan played defense. They didn't do so well. You can say the same with California versus New York. So I'm really pleased that that's hot. Like I said, hot off the press. I don't know how much local control we'll have. It's not anybody's goal to keep people inside, but we must keep people, we must have people adhere to the CDC spacing so that we limit how many people get infected. And ultimately, we save your life and my life, but we save all the people on the front lines, their lives too. So that's the hot off the press.
Great. Thank you for the scoop. Yeah, I heard that as well. And let's dive right into that because from my vantage point, it seems like around our state, and just our state here, we have quite a few mayors who are female and have stepped up and really went, when you said offense, defense, like Mayor Kate Gallego, Mayor Regina Romero. We had Coral Evans up in Flagstaff. We had the female mayors coming out strong and bold very early on. And it seemed like our governor and to some extent our own mayor kind of took a lackadaisical attitude of a wait and see. What
Well,
do
I
you
think
think? Now, this is again, this is you speaking just as an individual.
Well, I think that everybody was looking at the high level headline, which is when are we going to have mandated stay at home policies? And so in that regard, there was a spacing between when different people got there. And yeah, I would say us gals really stepped up, right? And we got there sooner than perhaps some of the men. And I shouldn't even say that. There were men mayors on that. But I think there was what is missed is how much cities all across the state and certainly Scottsdale were doing that were more micro steps, but they were still saving lives. And so everything from our human services working regionally to get homeless people in hotels, if they're infected, get them off the street and make sure that there's ample places for people to stay clean and educate the most vulnerable. We're feeding from the school districts to the city, we are feeding people. The mayor has been very much in a leadership role at prioritizing. We're going to have limited resources, and how do we spend those resources to maximize helping people? And he was very clear that our residents and our employees are number one. And then those businesses who were sound, who were successful, and they just need that hand up to get through this. Those are the types of priorities he's prioritizing, and this federal government did that, prioritizing businesses that keep their employees on the books. So some really, like I said, small, less headline-worthy steps have been taken that for the last few weeks have been saving lives.
Okay, so let's talk to the people of Scottsdale here about where they can get particular services and what services maybe that they're used to that aren't available now. So can you tell us something that the city of Scottsdale used to provide just a couple of weeks ago that might not be available now?
Yes, the trolley. So the trolley has been shut down. The libraries are closed, the pools are closed, but the critical services are still operating. We still have phones manned. People can get to help. Another thing I should mention is we are coordinating with the hospitals, both Mayo and Honor Health. So we're coordinating with all the business communities and chamber. So we're no longer operating just as a city. We're operating in these coalitions.
As a community.
As a community
coalition.
So
that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, so let's say one of the things I'm still waiting on, if somebody needs a shot, if somebody needs a test, you have to meet certain criteria. What if you don't have a doctor? You call Honor Health 24/7, a nurse can answer the phone. You might be on hold a while, and that's why it's important not to call if you have that, good temperature, but you just feel funny. You try to, every personal responsibility step we take, we save a lot of other people. So if we only call these numbers when we meet the criteria, we lessen the wait time for everybody. If those type of steps. So every step we make reverberates throughout the community.
Yeah, and you were saying just before that you're working 7 days a week, and I don't doubt it. And I would hope that everybody who's out there listening, this is Solange Whitehead. She is on the City Council of Scottsdale, just elected for her first term. This is about month 14, and she's really run into a situation. And I want to say first, thank you for the work you're doing. As you talked about the coalition building, and everybody's in this for the right reasons. And so we are trying to also be a resource for people. are there things that are on the Scottsdale government website? Is there a page dedicated? Is there something where
So
people can go to?
we do. We have a page dedicated, and first of all, I should mention that the city, a 2,500 employee organization, again, not known for its speed generally, cities, we turned into an online entity in a matter of days. So I've been working with a lot of different staff people, and I provided some guidance that I felt was important. I think we need more links. People need to know how to not get evicted. They need to know what resources they can give their landlord so their landlord can choose not to evict them. And as well as the governor has issued an executive order on evictions. So in my personal newsletters, I've provided links to a small business loan. One of the things the federal government has done is they've made small business loans very streamlined. And you can use the money for anything, for keeping your employees on the payroll. They've broadened what you can use the money for, and they've streamlined the process. That doesn't mean it's easy. Our staff is working so that we can assist a small business already frantic in getting to the link and getting the money, getting that loan. So that's, those are the types of things. I'm meeting with the police chief and the parks director tomorrow, because and again, I haven't even read the governor's executive order yet, but we don't want to, if everybody behaves well, we all benefit. So if you're the one having the big party at the park, you're ruining it for everyone. Our goal is to make it so people can stay outside, but we absolutely can't have congregations.
Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a harder hitting question then, because we have seen people at the parks, right?
Oh, yes.
How are we able to police the overcrowding of the outdoor activities? Where is the sweet spot? So in other words, let me finish the question.
Okay.
Are the first two-part question, are the parks open? And then the second part is, are there places within the open parks, perhaps the bathrooms, the play gyms that the kids are on? Are there other pieces that are closed? Please.
Okay, so what happened last week is the governor issued an executive order, and this is a problem specific to Arizona. I don't think any other state has this problem, so that's a mental note for you, Eric. We have a law, SB 1487, and in this case it was an executive order, that prohibited the cities from overriding what the governor established as, I can't remember the term, but businesses that could not be closed, or places that could not be closed. So the city was prevented from closing down the parks.
Yeah, and I want to stop you right there, because that's an important thing for our viewers to understand.
Mm-hmm.
I know that people kind of get up in cackles over what can be done and what isn't being done at the local level. But right now in the state of Arizona, just like they passed a law that would not allow local municipalities to do anything about the Airbnb, they also, rather quickly, the governor wouldn't put the shelter in place in, and then wouldn't allow any of the local municipalities to do it for themselves either. So he's kind of, I don't want to cast stones too much, but we have this whole idea within our government that the little government's too small. It's like Goldilocks, right? The baby one's too small. The federal government's too big, but they are just right. And we have to get past that. We have to return local control. I trust you to do what's right by this city.
The cities know their communities. We know, so if a state issues an executive order, they may choose to close all the parks, or they may choose to keep them open. We can be far more nuanced. And the example I'll give is, in Seattle, you can't jog. In Bellevue, a suburb of Seattle, you can jog. And there's a very specific reason for it. In Seattle, you'll bump into 500 people. In Bellevue, you can get your 30-minute jog in without seeing somebody. So that the local governments know the density. They know their people, they know their community, and they can do far more nuanced shelter-in-place rules, which gives people more freedom. But I will also say we have to have regional. So I can't have Gilbert saying, it's a free-for-all, and Chandler saying everybody's locked down. So we do need some. It's good to have a regional umbrella with some freedom from the local governments.
I understand that, and if I could just editorialize a little bit, I think we have to, because I will, it's my show.
You do.
We seem to, we should, as government, err on the side of caution. So
Yes.
if the governor was to say, close all public spaces, I can go with that. But when he
Yes.
says, keep all public spaces open, I
I
can't.
disagree. I disagree. Right. This is the time to be conservative. So the downside risk of being overly conservative is people miss out on the wildflowers in the preserve, but the upside potential is we save thousands of lives. So that's a pretty easy equation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you have to be a mathematician to see that one working out. You
Yeah,
can see the
yeah.
wildflowers next.
That's right.
Solange, we're going to get some questions in from people that we're going to try to allow to.
Okay.
I see one from Bob Kelly. He's wondering, how do you police the overcrowding of the hiking trails? And will trails be closed? I think we kind of answered that, but just.
Yes, well, no, I'll just say again real quickly. I'm meeting with the Parks Director and the Police Chief tomorrow. My goal is take personal responsibility. I'm no longer in the preserve, and anybody who knows me knows that just breaks my heart. There are other trails that are outside of the preserve that have that are less crowded. I'm actually riding my bike on sidewalks. So one way to reduce the crowding in the preserve is to not go, especially the trails that are quite busy. And then we are going to see about other steps that we can take at the trailheads. We don't want to be a police state, and we don't believe Scottsdale residents will require us to be that way. So we just need everybody to take personal responsibility. If last weekend, I peeked in just a little bit and saw 4 or 5 groups of at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. I'm sorry, that's not your immediate family.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And it's gorgeous out, so I get it.
Yeah, we're talking with Solange Whitehead, one of the city council members who's been kind enough to come on and talk us a little bit about, not from the city perspective, but her perspective as to how the city is dealing with this pandemic. We have all the schools now are going to be closed through the rest of the year.
Yes.
Childcare for those people that are our first responders, are all the people that work in our city to keep the arteries open that we really need out there. Is there anything that the city is doing to help with that, manage that kind of
Yes.
conundrum?
The city is offering, and I don't know the details. I was involved at the very beginning. The city is offering service, some kind of childcare for our employees. I don't know if they're contracted with Boys and Girls Club or what they're doing, but yes, we are providing some. The Boys and Girls Club also has remained open in order to be a place where those employees, whether you're a hospital worker, people who have to go to work, where they can drop off the kids. So yeah, we're involved. And I'm open to ideas.
Yeah. Okay. You had mentioned earlier that you have a newsletter that goes out and has a lot of links in it. Would you be able to tell us how people can get onto that newsletter?
Yeah, you can go to, and hopefully we'll have our city website updated. And I should point out that the city is putting out 2 or 3 newsletters a week, and citizens can sign up for that. If anybody who wants my newsletters, Solange for Scottsdale, my Facebook page, and scroll down a ways and you'll see a link. Email me, either at the city or solangeforscottsdale@gmail.com and subscribe. But or just post something on my Facebook or message me that you want it and I'll send it to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we will post, we have on our Facebook, on our website, Kurland23.com, we have a whole page for different links. And so once we are off this broadcast, we will add that to the links. And people can find it there.
Yeah, because there was quite a few links. And,
yeah.
It wasn't, the city has to be a little more orthodox. I went a little crazy. It's like I had an interview that explained how renters can be protected by the mortgage program, the program that forgives mortgage payments yeah.
Fun. Yeah, well, that's a good segue into some of the guests that we're having on the rest of the week.
Okay.
So if I may take a moment, tomorrow at 4:00, we're going to have Christine Marsh, the 2016 Arizona Teacher of the Year. and she is going to talk to us a little bit about the teacher perspective of what's happening with the pandemic now. On Wednesday, and this is one for everybody to kind of really want to tune in. We have a wonderful doctor who's a family psychologist and a child psychologist, and she'll be taking questions about mental health and how we can all do a little bit for ourselves during this time to really stay mentally healthy as well as physically healthy. It's really going to be important. Then on Thursday, we have a small business owner who has actually gone through the process of accessing dollars, and he's going to walk us through that.
I'm going to be there.
Great. And then Friday, this is really a sad time for our high school seniors. I mean, we can kind of talk about this as adults and say, you know what, kids, you're going to get there. Don't worry about it. But this is really a painful time. So we're going to have a few high school seniors talking to us about their experience with the pandemic. I would just like to say that these kids are fascinating and what they've overcome already, living a life of the internet and shooting drills. And they're my heroes. There's so many heroes out there.
I agree. The young people have handled so much of this in a calm, kind, and with leadership type of. I've been very impressed with our young people, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, and we can take a little note from that, right? So we try to wrap up the show each time talking about how it's a metaphorical rainstorm out there, but we have the opportunity to be the rainbow. So I know our campaign is on hold, but we are actually putting our volunteers to service calling older people. So my last question for you before we sign off is, do you have somebody who's in charge of senior services that we could get in touch with and perhaps
Most definitely. I'm volunteering tomorrow, and I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, that's wonderful. So look for that on an upcoming broadcast. Any last words that you want everybody to know?
Yeah, I just think that it's an opportunity to realign our human priorities with the planet's priorities. And I think there's no silver lining here, but we can make this the best it can be with, kindness and understanding and rethinking how we do things when this is over.
I love you, Solange. That is exactly what I'm thinking. We can definitely, actually, there are silver linings. We can choose to make those silver linings, and we will.
Yes.
So I have to say thank you so much. Visit the Scottsdale.gov website. We'll have that on our website as well. We will have Solange's email for you to get on her list so that you can get her what do you call those things?
Newsletters.
Yeah, that's right. Newsletters. Okay. So thanks everybody for joining. You want to dance out of this one, Solange?
Dance? I don't dance.
All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock with Teacher of the Year from 2016, Christine Porter Marsh.
Andy, are you there?